So I'm gonna continue to do the Buildspace stuff, should I? We've deployed the fancy domain smart contract, shipped the sick React application that lets people enter domains, and now the money is spring. Time to buy a Bored Ape and post memes on Twitter all day. But wait, you can't just yet, not because Twitter is harmful in those doses, but because it didn't create a way to withdraw your funds. How do you get access to the money people are paying for the domains? Function modifiers and the withdraw function. So if I remember correctly, we did the whole thing to the functions, the smart contract should set up the domain with the payable thing. And then the React part should handle the wallet. And yeah, handle the wallet and allow for the possibility to input the domain name and call the function whenever clicking the input, the submit. Let's fix that. Heading back over to our contract, let's add the following at the bottom. So is making a modifier should require its owner. So why not do this to the same one? The same thing here. So withdraw address this dot balance. So it gets the balance of the current address, the one that called the function. Puts into the amount. Message.sender.call value amount equals this. Probably are experiencing an error right now. Don't worry, this is expected. Let's go ahead and break this down a bit. So I should write this on var. Oh, there's only one contract, so that should be this one. So I think I'm gonna put it here after all the other stuff. So this probably returns true values. And the second one is probably, yeah, I'm not really sure actually. First thing we create is a function modifier. This allows us to change the behavior of the function. So already went through that. The weird part of it is the, okay, still modifier function. As for the withdraw function, all it does is it fetches the balance of the contract and sends it to the requester, which has to be the owner for the function to run. Oh, because of the only owner modifier. This is a simple way of withdrawing your funds. Message.sender.call is the magic line where we send money. The syntax is a little weird. Notice how we pass it amount. Yeah, because it's the balance. So I guess it's getting the balance of the owner of the contract. Also, only when the owner of the contract calls the contract. But where is the logic to say who is the owner? I guess who deploys the contract is the owner, probably. The syntax is a little weird. Requires success is where we know the transaction was a success. If it wasn't, it marked the transaction as an error and say failed to withdraw manic. Now to fix the passkey owner error, all you need to do is create a global owner variable at the top of your contract and set it in the constructor like this. Yeah, so now is where the owner is going to be specified. Yeah, didn't make a lot of sense. And they also do it in a different order here. Control V to close the tab there. Put payable here. So owner equals payable. That's center. The cool thing about this variable is we've set it as a payable type. This just means that the owner's address can receive payments. Yep, you need to explicitly declare that. You can read more about it here. Now you can withdraw the funds in the contract. Punish independent circle. Test it out. Let's try to rob our own contract. I'll be the gateway driver, set up the run.js script. So it's calling register with his name. Passing the value. So because this is in the constructor, I guess the first time you make the contract, then you become the owner. But I still don't understand this function really well. Maybe I should look at the documentation and see what message that's under the methods that it has. Dot call value amount. I guess the amount of ether gets stored in the contract somehow when people pay for stuff. And then this is calling that amount. I wish they explained this a little bit more. You can just look at the documentation as well. It's not that big of a deal. It's connecting the owner and running the withdraw. Yeah, so the balance gets stored in the contract. And I don't remember if I actually specified this. I don't think so. Maybe the payable modifier does that automatically. Yeah, then there's nothing here that looks like it does something to keep the money on the contract. So assume the payable modifier does that. So it checks the balance and then tries to withdraw here. When you run this script with npx hardhat run, you'll notice that the catch block after that attempted robbery was triggered, meaning our attempt failed. What's happening here is when you call the withdraw function as a random person, the modifier checks that we are not the owner and reverts the transaction. But when we withdraw as the owner, the tokens come true. If you want, you can log the error in and in the try catch block to see what the contract says. They are in the try catch block. So I guess and another thing is that I figured out how to solve this stuff that I wasn't working with the process.env, and I had to require this .env here in the top. Require.env.config. That's why it wasn't working before. So yeah, I don't think it's in this file. It's on the run.js. You set up the run.js script. So I'm just gonna copy this. I'm not gonna write it again. I think I'm gonna console log the error instead. Then should run is npx hard at run run.js scripts / run.js. I also put more money in the what? It's not installed. That's weird. Oh, I'm not in the correct page. And that's why I forgot to cd into this directory. And I forgot I had two directories. Because I did one for the React and the other one for the first part. Yeah, but I'm probably on the correct one. Because the React just uses the same stuff. Maybe I should have done only one directory, but I don't think it matters that much. I think I'm just gonna quit this one. And then cd into first. Then run this I've put more money on the testnet thing on the wallet. So it doesn't work here. Probably made a mistake. Or I didn't declare the variable outside, maybe. Or didn't specify the type. It doesn't say anything here. Oh, here, outside, yeah. Forgot to put this. Wouldn't it be better though if I did this inside of here? I guess because it needs to be stored in the blockchain, it has to be outside. That's probably the reason. And it gets created on the when you create the contract with payable and message that sender. Yeah, that makes sense. Because the constructor only runs when you create the contract, I think. Transaction. So this is the error that it was getting there. Transaction reverted without a reason string. Yeah, but there's not much that I can see from this error. So I think I'm just gonna take the screenshots here. Move on. And see if there's anything that I shouldn't be putting there. I think it's fine. Fetch all domains. Alright, things are definitely taking shape right now. There's still a bit more we can do to make our contract even better and optimize it for our front end. Such as having a super easy way to fetch all minted domains. Maybe we want to show off all the epic domains that we have that have already been minted. The cool part about this is we can easily return this data from our smart contract. The best part, read transactions on the blockchain are free, so we don't have to worry about paying gas. Take a look at this logic to see how we can do this. So this is inside the contract again. Add this at the top of your contract next to the other mappings. So here. These strings are not indented correctly. So it's creating a mapping called names of uint to string. Anywhere in your contract body, get all names, public view returns, string memory. So creates this variable in memory, which is a string, an array of strings of token IDs dot current. Then loops through the array. And prints the name. I think I'm gonna put it in the end again. Just to keep it chronological. Oh, actually, I need to do like this. Residual pronoun. So this should feel pretty familiar to what we did before. We added a mapping to store mint IDs with domain names, and a proof function to iterate through all those names and put them in a list to send to us. There's one bit missing though. We still need to set the mapping data. Add this to the bottom of your register function right before the token increment. So every time it creates, it's gonna create a new input on the other mapping. Every time you registers a new domain. So where is it? But where does this new record ID comes from? Oh, here. So here, right at the end. Names is the mapping. So it's gonna store a string. String with the name. Just passed with the register function. Using the record ID as the key. Just like that, you're able to retrieve all the domains minted on your contract. Check domain validity on the contract. One thing that's probably been on your mind is what happens if someone tries to mint a domain that is really long. Oh, you'd be right. Right now, we're checking if a domain is valid using JavaScript in our React app. This isn't the best of ideas since someone can interact with our contract directly to mint an invalid domain. It actually makes more sense to do this on our contract. Just like we were doing in our React app, we need to check if the domain name is between 3 and 10 characters. This should help keep domain names short and clean. You should set this up to be whatever you want. Maybe you don't like the letter W for invalid names. You just need to return a false. Try to add all other sorts of blocks you can think of. So it's just making a function to validate, and it's probably gonna put on the register after it does that. So I'm gonna do it here. It's probably gonna put on require and then call the valid, I think. One of the coolest things added in a recent version of Solidity is the ability to use custom error messages. These are really useful because you don't need to repeat error message strings, and more importantly, they help us save gas when deploying, because who wants to spend more on gas? Creating them is super easy. You can put them anywhere I choose them. So I'm gonna put it in the top of the contract. So probably here. No, maybe actually it's gonna tell me to put in the functions. Yeah, I read that wrong. So set record. If message.sender different than domain's name, revert unauthorized. Oh, so maybe I should be declaring at the top because it's just calling here. So I should put this here. I think. No, so I put these ones in the top, replacing these ones, I think. But this one probably replaces this one. And the other one, I'm not really sure. Oh, I think that's just the new one. Yeah, it's the new function. Then I need to put this at the top again. If you deploy this contract, you will be doing a whole lot more than before. Look at you, saving gas, being efficient, and checking domains, validity, unlocked. Are you gonna upgrade their smart contracts? Post screenshots are fantastic. Gas efficient or handily smart contracting progress. So I guess it's just any screenshots of the contract. I don't think it matters that much what picture you submit, actually. But I'm just gonna try to submit the ones that they are asking for there. This section 4 already. It looks like I have to open this now. This section will cover some really valuable goodies that you see on all sorts of apps out there. This is the time to take your new found skills and be super creative. You have the building blocks, now you're ready to build the perfect app for you. First off, the UX on our app can be improved a lot. Let's start by showing the user their address. Head over to our React app and update our header container div in app.js. One thing that I'm thinking about now, I think I'm gonna write this stuff down to look at the documentation here. So message.sender, message dot value, message dot call. and payable. I want to see what these functions do in the documentation. To understand more how it works, where the money, how is the money get stored in the contract, and also the other one to withdraw. So, which I forgot, message.sender. Oh, I wrote it down here. This is message.sender.call. Yeah. So now the app JS. Here. So don't even have a header container. Oh, it's here. It's not indented correctly. So I need to add this extra stuff here. So if the network includes Polygon, then Polygon logo, else Ethereum logo. And then this is the logic to display. What's happening here is a bit of JavaScript fanciness if you don't understand the syntax scheme this. Those are ternary operators. One thing worth mentioning here is that I'm just checking if the network name has the word polygon in it. So if you're on the Polygon mainnet, the Polygon logo shows. Don't worry, this is expected. Head back to the top of the component and add the following. Do not copy paste the whole thing, you'll break it. So at the very top of the file, after the other imports, I'm gonna put the logos. And then use state. And the rest, I think, is the same. Out here. So check wallet if it's connected. This is making a request, method to chain ID. Set networks, chain ID. And this is handling the change of networks. And this is the function that is going to change the state of the networks. The rest of your app.js should remain the same. Check it out in your browser. It should look like this. Now that we are checking their network, we should disable the minting from farm if they're not on the Mumbai testnet. Add this to the top of your render input form. Here. If not on Polygon, please connect to Mumbai. Yes, it's checking. And this is the name of the... Well, what if the name is different? Maybe this is standard from the network method here that comes from the library. Till's network. Yeah, those are the names. But I'm not sure if this is standard or if they made it like this. It's probably standard. Add and switch networks in Metamask. We want our app to be accessible to all sorts of users, the ones just starting off with Web3 and the experienced ones as well. Right now, all we are doing is telling them to connect to Mumbai. It would be a lot cooler if we added a button that did that for them. Plus, lazy people like me will really appreciate it. We can use the Metamask API to actually help them swap and add networks. Here's what that looks like in a function in app.js again. You can put it next to the wallet connection functions. To the wallet connection functions. So I guess this one. Yeah. This error code means that the chain we want has not been added to Metamask. In this case, we ask the user to add it to their network, to their Metamask. Add Ethereum chain parameters. window interior is not found, then Metamask is not installed. I think I'm gonna copy this, put here. First thing this function does is try to change their network like this. The chain ID parameter is a hexadecimal value that identifies different networks. The most common ones are in the network.js file. If you add a fancy new network later, you can just Google the ID for it. Second part just prompts the user to add the network if they don't have it. If you want to learn more about this bit, you can check the Metamask docs here. Last part of all this is just setting a button that calls this function into our render input form. So it's this button here. Maybe it was added in the previous thing that they post. No, it's on the render input thing. So here. And they changed to H2 as well. Jump into the CSS and chunk a fancy gradient on the address container or the switch button. Maybe bring back the corners. So now I think I need to run this. So I'm gonna go back and then cd into this directory. And to run, I think npm. I don't remember how to run exactly. I think npm run and the app.js file runs the file, but I think there was another way. Maybe npx start or something like that. It's probably yeah, should be source. npm start maybe. I think there was another command though. Oh, so it worked. It's just npm starts with no files specified. I made a file with an Excel spreadsheet with the different consensus algorithms on some of the coins. So I think after I'm done with this, I'm gonna study the decentralized exchanges and see the pairs for the centralized exchanges, and then study the consensus algorithms protocols for them, and then read the documentation on them. And I also looked into how to build a node, a full node. I already learned how to build a light node, and it doesn't take a lot of resources. And then I was looking into the resources to run a full node, and I think it looks like I have the necessary stuff, so I might do that later as well. Just to see if I can get information about the transactions that are going on, and to learn more about all of the things. So I'm not really sure if the stuff that's supposed to be here is showing up. So I think I'm gonna rerun this with npm start. It's probably not gonna change anything. If it doesn't, I'm just gonna send the picture of the stuff that it was there. Yeah, so it doesn't change anything. Oh, close this one. I guess it's just when you click to connect a wallet that the button is gonna show. But I don't care about that right now, at least. I think the stuff that I wanted to know from this it's probably already passed. So I'm just trying to finish this, and then I want to focus more on extracting data out of the blockchain, the information that I want, and building my own stuff. Because probably I'm gonna learn more that way as well. We made our domain records updatable on our contract, but we haven't. Oh, actually, and I'm actually gonna use this project probably to study the documentation. I think that's a good idea. No, it's this file here. So, yeah, no, it's not this file. I think it's on the deploy, yeah. It keeps open. Yeah. So I need to study the documentation of this library, these ethers, JS. Yeah, this one, I think is the main one. Just see all the possible methods and what the source code maybe, or what do they do? What do they return? So these and these methods here, I think are the most important to know. And then obviously the data extraction part, which is with the RPC endpoints, the connection here, and then it's probably pretty easy. You just replace this URL with whatever other RPC you have. And then it might be interesting to see on the full node if it's possible to connect. It's probably possible, I think. Yeah, I already saw that actually. Like you can set up a JavaScript console log, And you can also set up some flags to put the information that you get from building the node into a file. So I think I'm going to study that as well. We made our domain records updatable on our contract, but we haven't built out that functionality on our app. What's the point of a permanent domain if we can't point it to different things over time to be hip with cool kids? Imagine you had linked to a really cool YouTube video that got taken down, or maybe you got a new favorite song. Should let everyone update their records. Let's add this function as to our mint domain function in app.js. I think I'm just gonna search it like this. Here it is. So it's probably below. Say synchronous using set loading. See if I have this here. It's probably gonna ask to do that. Creates the provider, gets the signers, makes the new contract. Then waits for the function to set the records. Fetch means I don't remember what it does. Maybe it's from some library. Oh, and then set record and set domain is from use state. Nothing new here, just a smaller version of our mint domain function. To actually call this, we'll have to make some more changes to our render input form function to show a set record. So it's also gonna use another variable at the start of our component. And so it's here. But it didn't say anything about this loading here. I guess I'm gonna put this to false actually. Because here it was false, just true, yeah. So probably the default should be false. Here's the updated input form function, not make a new one. So render input form. So it doesn't have the button anymore. Also, just putting the button here, I think. And the indentation here is incorrect. All that's happening here is we're rendering through different buttons in the app in the edit mode. Call the updated function. You've done so much work, young Lenore. Time to show the world all the awesome domains other people have purchased. Add a function in our contract to do that. Let's pull it out. So maybe the loading is not necessary actually. Maybe it's something else. Because they didn't talk about it. I'm gonna leave it there and whatever. So I need to add this in the top. You should erase these comments. Anytime current account or network are changed. If I remember, there was already an use effect. Maybe not. Yeah, here. So I think it doesn't matter if you have two different ones. All the domain names from the contract, the record for each domain name you got, the owner's address for each domain name. It puts these in an array and sets the array as our means. Added this to the bottom of my mint domain function as well, so our app updates when we mint a domain ourselves. We're waiting 2 seconds to make sure the transaction is mined. Now our users can see their mints in real time. So which parts is he talking about? So this is the domain function, mint domain. So up to this is the same. Oh, fuck. Can put them in the same indentation. Yeah, now I think it's fine. So this part here, I think, is the new one. Yeah. Render minted domains. We're almost done hanging there. Now that we have this, we can just render them at the bottom. Add this render function as your other render functions. I think I'll do it on top of these ones. So here. This will take us into edit mode and shows the edit buttons. This is a bunch of React. The only, or maybe this should be before actually. And this should probably come before the component, I think. Maybe it doesn't matter, but just should be safe. Means.map section. What it does is it takes each item in the means array and renders some HTML for it. Uses the values of the items in the actual HTML with mint.name and mint.id. This is what my final render section looks like. Renders true. Let's refresh the menu. The minting process on our app is kind of bland right now. You press a button, something happens, here's a challenge for you. Display a pop-up that tells the user their domain has been minted. Check out how we're sending them to OpenSea in the render mints function for a hint. I should be looking super fancy right now. Post the finished product in progress. I don't think I'm gonna do this. The challenge there. Yeah, mine is not showing this stuff. Or maybe it's because I have to connect the wallet. Yes, that's probably the thing. And I'm not gonna connect it right now. I'm just gonna post this picture again. Eleven. Next lesson. Let me see how many it's until I finish this. Probably not a lot. Yeah, this is the final one. If uploading to GitHub, don't upload your hard hat config file with your private key to your repo. I use .env for this. Save.env. Oh, here it is. Oh. Yeah, they should probably put this on the other lesson. But I guess most people are not gonna be showing this when they do it, so it doesn't really matter that much. And I don't think mine was working when I put this directly, but maybe it was because I didn't do the config stuff. And because I remember I saw a thread on, I think Stack Overflow or some other site like that, where the person said that they solved by wrapping into strings and using the $sign stuff, like I did here. So just leave it like this. Don't commit your .env after this. Make sure it's in your git ignore. Remember the change we made to git ignore. Now revert it by removing the hard hat config.js line. Because now that file only contains variables representing your keys and not your actual key info. Deploying a React app has gotten so easy that there is no reason not to do it at this point. Plus, it's free. If you've made it this far, deploying is the final step. Let's not be deprived of awesome domains. Here's a quick video. I'm following this project called Buildspace. This mesh, I don't know how to say her name, sorry. But Buildspace, from as far as I understand, is pretty much like a free, if you know Free Code Camp. It's kind of like Free Code Camp, but for Web3 instead. So they have a couple of projects that you can follow along and learn how Web3 works. So I'm doing that. And this specific project is to build a site that allows people to implement domains, their own domains. And then you set up the contract so that you charges a fee for that and you get paid. Here's a quick video files I made on deploying via Verso. Don't choose Verso, all good. Use whatever you want. Push your latest front-end code up to GitHub. Don't commit .env. Connect Verso to your repo. Not sure what Verso is. Sounds interesting though. You're saying it's free, but don't you have to pay a server to host? I think I'll look into this later. Make sure to set your root to app. Deploy done. On Verso, you need to add an extra environment variable, CI equals false. This will make sure our build doesn't fail because of warnings. I think I have to close this. Yes, I do have a GitHub profile. I think it is GitHub. I'm not sure if I'm, oh, it's here. But I don't use GitHub a lot actually, because I work more on my own. So I never post things on GitHub, except for random things that I did, like free code camp projects, holding projects, and some other stuff that I was gonna do and then ended up not finishing. Yeah, I guess. I think more important than that's probably the portfolio and resume if you wanna get a job, but the thing is most of the things I'm doing I'm not necessarily sure that I want to share, let's say. So that's the problem that I do on my own. Because I might use it later to, like, I've built a website for visualizing Python scripts, and then I was gonna push it to GitHub, but, well, one, I tried to do that and there were too many files, but I could take some stuff off and push it to GitHub. But then I'm not sure if I'm gonna turn this site into something that I actually wanna, which is probably what I'm gonna do actually, to host my own website. And I'm gonna do this with several other sites as well. At least, maybe, I'm not really sure, but if I build these sites, and then if I do that, then it doesn't make sense to push to GitHub, I think. So that's the thing. And it's not that, it is expensive to, as far as I know, to host websites, but it's not that expensive. I think I can save enough money to at least have 10 websites. And then my plan is to put them all in my portfolio and use the portfolio instead if I want to get a job. When I'm trying to get a job. Yeah. But you're right, getting the habit of using Git is probably important. It's just getting over the initial resistance because I'm not used to making commits all the time, which is annoying. I don't understand why this is not. Oh, I need to close here, shut down. Then maybe I have to reload the page. No, I'm just learning. My plan is to try to make money on my own, freelancing or something like that, or building something. And if I can't do that until the end of the year, then I'm gonna start looking for jobs. Because I have only 1 year of experience so far. A little bit more than 1 year now, but at the end of this year, I'm gonna have 2 years, and I think it's gonna be easier to find a job with more experience.
All right, you made it this far.
But my main goal is not to get a job long term. My main goal is to use the money that I get paid in the job to build my own stuff. And then eventually, when I have enough money on my own things, then completely go on my own. I just don't work better. I think I work better by being my own boss instead of listening to someone else, taking instructions of someone else. But there's positives and negatives to both. But I think I prefer more the negatives and the positives of working on your own, because I'm naturally someone that is more disciplined and ambitious, let's say. So yeah, I really don't like the idea of other people telling me what to do. And I think I have the necessary willpower to do things on my own.
Final step,
find
deployment.
solutions and be resourceful.
So I'm going to be using Vercel, but feel free to use whatever you want, like Netlify, Surge, whatever you want. Vercel doesn't pay us or anything like that. I just like using Vercel because, like, I actually don't know why I like Vercel. I guess I like their design. That's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and click new project here. And it's going to ask you to connect your GitHub here if you've never used it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know. It's hard though, right? Everybody's trying to freelance. There's a lot of competition. That's why I might have to get a job anyway, because when you get a job, I think it's a lot easier to get freelancing work as well when you have some experience. Yeah. But most of the things that are worth it are hard anyways. And it takes a long time, so you can't really rush it. You just have to embrace the process and improve every day, and then eventually you get there. The problem is that most people quit before, and that's why it doesn't work for them. So usually
yourself
the
before?
hardest path is the easiest one.
But my GitHub is already connected. But I'm on the hobby plan.
My focus is on trying to prevent self-destruction from artificial intelligence, because I think in a world of exponential tech, we're gonna destroy ourselves if we have a market economy. And the reason why is because market economy aligns the incentives with the limbic system at a macro scale because of the Dunbar, I think that's how it's said. So pretty much the consumer dictates what's being built, and the consumer is the limbic system, and the limbic system wants immediate rewards and doesn't have holistic thinking or long-term thinking. So we can't reach coordination because of politics and misinformation. There's lack of goal alignment in the whole. And as tech becomes more powerful, there's less time to respond to the adversity that we create ourselves. So the regulations are too slow because the tech advances too fast. And the regulations are built on top of the same incentives of the growth of the innovations. So it doesn't work in the long term and it collapses. So we need to build other systems that are more integrated with advancement of technology. Otherwise, we're just gonna create a bunch of weapons and eventually, based on probability, we're gonna destroy ourselves either with a virus or some really advanced weapon. And this is already a risk right now, especially with this war going on. But yeah, I think it's the only thing that makes sense trying to do. Because eventually everything is going to be automated anyway, so people won't have to work. Even with the AI that we already have, I think that's already enough to automate everything. If not everything, a good sufficient amount of jobs that the remaining amount of jobs left won't be something that it will be really hard for everyone in the planet to do. So because you can automate most of the boring and really painful jobs that no one wants to do, and you can use the extra money to provide infrastructure, education, and all the other things for everyone else. But the problem, as always, is that people want to control power and sex because that's how human beings work and that's how our incentives are built. So yeah. And there's the problem of the epistemology of data as well, which is that data is like a belief system, is not real in the sense that you only think that something is a fact because you experienced it. So experience always comes first. So it has this self-fulfilling prophecy nature, which is a lot of other very big problem. But I think that there is a high probability that as technology advances, there will be less and less jobs, and there's not much you can do about that. So eventually, most people will probably have to stop, not stop working, but it's not going to be the same way that it is today, where people are forced to do boring jobs like drive places and stuff like that, or handle logistics in warehouses, things like that. And even if there are a lot of people that still need to do those jobs, it's gonna be a lot less than it is today, and we're gonna need to create some way for these people to be included in the society. So, and this already happens right now, because there are a lot of most jobs that will be important, most people won't be able to do physically, either with physical or mental capacity. And we need to figure out a way to include those people as well. And I think this is inevitable. And it's just one of the problems of many other problems that we're gonna have with AI and all the other stuff, with hacking, stuff like that. Yeah. It's not a matter of, it's more a matter of, to me, a matter of probability. So it's just on average, the technology, at least that's the trend I'm seeing. The technology is gonna expand, and then it's gonna take more and more. It's not black and white, let's say, that necessarily is gonna happen, that there's no more jobs left out of nowhere, but it's already happening right now. More each day that passes, there's less jobs, which creates more scarcity and less people capable of doing the jobs that are available. Or they are capable and they don't want to do the jobs because it doesn't make sense on the incentives perspective. So it's a very big problem. But what else are we going to do, right? So
Hobby Plan is completely free. So when I go here, I'm gonna actually import my code. That is like, this is like my final pushed code, right, for my web app. I'm gonna click import here. And by the way, once you deploy your websites, every time you push to GitHub, Vercel will automatically build your website again, which is pretty convenient. But cool. So this is my my repo with the latest code pushed up to it. My latest web app code, at least. Here I'm gonna do a couple things in the configuration section. The first thing is I'm gonna do create React app as the framework preset. Next, for the root directory, I'm gonna make sure I pick app. App is where my actual app lives, right? So Vercel needs to know that that's where it needs to look. Next, over here in environment variables, I need to make sure that because the .env file that we created is not pushed to GitHub. So what we need to do is we need to actually manually create our .env file right here. I'm going to show you my env file, and this is fine. None of this is actually sensitive information, so it works out. But over here, I'm going to go to create React app. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to take every single parameter in my env file, and I'm just going to add them one by one to my my project here. So you're going to go and do that for all of them, for all like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters. Once you do that, you're all good to go. You're going to click deploy, and that's it. Your project will deploy, and then you'll be able to actually have a link to your project, which is
yeah, it should be a data science focused on deep learning. Yeah, that's my main goal. The issue is that right now I'm kind of divided, because to get a job in data science is harder to display your skill set. At least that's what I think. Like I can't think that of many things I can do on data science that I can showcase to other people in case I need to search for a job. So that's the problem, because yeah, the things that you can showcase to other people are really hard to do. So building a site is a lot easier than that. And that's the reason why I was focusing on building sites more. Just so I can have at least a couple of things that I can show people when I start searching for a job. But now I'm more focused on, I'm gonna focus more on Web3 and data science. So my plan after this stuff on Buildspace here is to create something that gets the data from these blockchains and then run data analysis on that data. And then maybe once I do this stuff, then I can build a site out of it just to showcase people. But yeah, the site stuff and all the other stuff I'm just doing in case, like until the end of the year I can't find a way to make money, either with freelancing or building my own thing. I can at least have some things on the portfolio that I can use when I'm searching for jobs. And that's one of the reasons why I did this. I started streaming since the beginning, that I started learning how to code and post it on YouTube. It's just kind of like a hedge to get a job if I need it. But I don't really care about all this other stuff. I just care about the AI. That's the main thing. And actually do if that's something, it's impressive. Yeah. I did the Kaggle courses as well, and then did a Kaggle competition. And so I'm not really completely new to machine learning. I know some of this stuff. And I also wanted to build my own AI library, but then I had to stop because of all of that, to build the sites and stuff like that, and to find a way to make money. And Web3 is also good because there's a lot of ways to make money on Web3. So that's also something that I think you kill two birds with one stone. Because I might stumble upon some opportunities and then do that.
Gonna be awesome. And then once you have that link, make sure you post it on a hashtag showcase. Make sure you tweet about it. Make sure you tag us. Do all the things, and then we definitely want to mint your NFTs. So that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, or actually, don't let me know. Please don't DM me. Please just post in the in the help sections on the project category. So I get way too many DMs lately. Thanks everyone. See ya.
We're constantly seeing people nail their interviews at Web3 companies after they do a few Buildspace projects. People seem to think Web3 just needs people who can code smart contracts or write code. I think they already said this stuff in the beginning. Go showcase in Discord and drop us a link to your final product that we can mess around with. Twitter at final project and show. Gives a ton of motivation. Okay. Oh, so I need to deploy the link. So maybe I'll do this real quick. Oh, but then I have to push to GitHub. Yeah. I don't think I'm gonna do this too much work. So I'll leave this one without doing it. Maybe I can post a random link just to finish the thing. It's probably gonna pass. Yeah, there we go. I think this is more, you can get jobs here as well. Yeah, the people probably use this to display stuff. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna stop here, and when I come back, I'm gonna start doing my own thing. Yeah, I'm gonna study these libraries here, and then I'm going to study these libraries, then study the decentralized exchanges, see what their trading pairs are, then search for the consensus algorithm, study the consensus algorithms, and then start on working on the extraction of data to make analysis. So yeah, I'll probably come back today to do this stuff. So see you.